Have you ever noticed how some people enter your life and instead of helping you grow, they seem to drain your energy, kill your vision, or make your dreams feel impossible? Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share can change your life forever. In your journey to success, the people you keep around you are just as important as the decisions you make. Your environment shapes your future, and today I will reveal the two types of people you must remove immediately if you want to live a life of purpose, power, and prosperity. Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to suck the life out of every room they enter? They are the ones who, no matter how bright your vision, how bold your dream, or how determined your heart, will find a way to dim your light. These are the energy drainers. They are not necessarily cruel. They are not intentionally evil, but they are trapped in their own limitations. Their lives are often filled with unfulfilled dreams, constant complaints, and fear disguised as advice. The danger is that they will try to anchor you in their limitations, intentionally or not, by making you question your worth, your vision, and your ability to succeed. Have you ever had a friend, a colleague, or even a family member say, "That's impossible," or "Why bother trying?" It seems harmless at first, but repeated enough, it seeps into your mind like water through cracks, and before you know it, you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to believe that maybe your dream is too big, maybe your goals are unrealistic, maybe you are not strong enough. The energy drainers feed on negativity, and they will pull you into it if you are not careful. Imagine you are at work, and you have just shared an idea for a project that could revolutionize the way your team works. Instead of encouragement, one of your colleagues immediately points out why it won't work. "We tried that before." They say, "It will fail," or "That's too risky." What happens inside you if you are not mindful? You start to question yourself. You begin to weigh their fear against your vision, and slowly you lose the courage to act. Now imagine if you had shared the same idea with a person of vision, someone who believes in growth and creativity. They might have said, "That's interesting, how can we make it work?" Or, "I believe this can happen, let's figure it out together." The difference is not in your idea, it is in the energy that surrounds it. Negativity drains, positivity builds. Energy drainers also appear in more subtle ways in daily life. It might be a friend who constantly complains about money, relationships, or work. They are not seeking solutions. They are seeking validation for their despair. You listen politely at first, then after weeks, months, or years, you start noticing a heaviness in your spirit after every conversation. Your mood drops, your motivation wanes, your mind feels cluttered with doubt. They are not adding value, they are subtracting energy, and yet many of us keep them around out of obligation, guilt, or fear of confrontation. We forget that our time and energy are limited resources, precious for building the life we desire. Your dreams deserve support, not excuses, and your mind deserves clarity, not confusion. Consider another example from family life. You decide to start a small business, and when you announce your plan, a relative might respond with, "Are you sure? Businesses fail. You could lose everything," or "Maybe you should wait until you are older, more experienced." They are not attacking you personally, but they are projecting their fears onto you. Their energy is toxic not because they hate you, but because their own limitations have become a lens through which they view the world. If you allow their fear to dictate your choices, you are essentially handing over your destiny to someone else's insecurities. This is why awareness is critical. You must recognize the energy drainers in your life and understand their effect on your journey. Sometimes energy drainers are even people we admire or respect. They might be successful, but their success is built on competition, criticism, and undermining others to feel superior. They never celebrate victories without comparison. They rarely lift someone else higher without feeling diminished themselves. Engaging with such people can subtly erode your confidence. Have you noticed how some colleagues or acquaintances always have to have the last word, always critique, always point out flaws? These are not constructive moments. They are attempts to sap your momentum. In life, you will meet brilliant minds, but you will also meet toxic brilliance, and distinguishing the two is essential. Energy drainers can also appear in the form of distractions disguised as friendship. Imagine a friend who calls constantly, but the conversation is never about growth, never about vision, never about support. Instead, the topics revolve around gossip, resentment, or complaining. After hours of such interaction, your energy is depleted. Your focus is broken. Your mind, which once held clarity and purpose, now feels foggy. This is why choosing who occupies your mental space is as important as choosing the work you do or the habits you build. You will also find energy drainers in moments of temptation when they encourage procrastination or distract you from your responsibilities. They may say, "Come on, it's just one night." One small distraction won't hurt, but every small concession chips away at your resolve. Your dreams require daily investment, time, energy, and focus, and every encounter with a drainer is an investment lost. Your success is not just about talent or luck. It is about the energy you protect and channel into meaningful action. Sometimes the most powerful lesson from energy drainers is that they reveal your own inner strength. When confronted with their negativity, you have a choice to absorb it, to argue, to fight, or to rise above it. Those who rise above it do not argue. They act. They do not internalize the doubt. They execute. They learn that every negative comment, every dismissive word, every attempt to anchor them in limitation is an opportunity to prove that their vision is stronger than any resistance. Your dreams deserve people who uplift, who encourage, who energize. But more importantly, your life deserves your protection. You cannot allow anyone, no matter how close, to drain the energy that fuels your purpose. Each time someone doubts you, each time someone criticizes you unfairly, each time someone tries to make your vision feel small, remember that their limitation is not your destiny. Their fear is not your future. Their negativity is not your identity. The energy drainers are a mirror of what you must rise above. And the moment you recognize them, the moment you see the impact they have on your life, you gain the power to choose. Your choice is simple yet profound. Either absorb their drain and shrink your vision, or protect your mind, protect your spirit, and move with purpose toward what you were born to achieve. Every great person you admire has done this. Every visionary, every successful entrepreneur, every leader in history had to recognize the people who would drain their energy and consciously distance themselves. It is not about anger or hate. It is about respect for yourself and your potential. In daily life, it might be saying no to a friend, limiting contact with a colleague, or setting boundaries with family members. The moment you do this, you will notice an almost instantaneous shift. Your mind feels lighter, your heart feels freer, and your dreams feel closer. Energy is the currency of life, and your dreams require investment. When you surround yourself with people who add value, you multiply your capacity, your clarity, and your courage. But when you allow energy drainers to linger, your potential is robbed silently, steadily, and often without warning. Therefore, awareness, boundaries, and courage are not just useful. They are necessary. Your life, your ambitions, and your destiny demand it. And the sooner you act, the sooner you can live the life that is truly yours. Have you ever met someone who seems charming at first, who smiles in your face and makes you feel like you are understood, only to later discover that every word, every gesture, every action was carefully calculated to serve their own purpose? These are the toxic manipulators. They are masters of disguise, wearing masks of friendship, support, or love, while quietly plotting to benefit from your efforts, your ideas, or your successes. They rarely celebrate your victories genuinely. Instead, they feel envy bubbling beneath the surface, and they will work subtly to sow seeds of doubt and insecurity in your mind. Imagine you have a breakthrough idea at work, an idea that could elevate your career or change the way your team functions. You share it with someone you consider a friend, and at first they seem encouraging. They nod, smile, ask questions, appear supportive. But behind that smile, they are already thinking about how they can take credit, manipulate the outcome, or make you dependent on their guidance. Toxic manipulators are not always obvious. Sometimes they appear as well, meaning advisors, mentors, or colleagues. They will give advice, but it is advice that benefits them more than it benefits you. They might say things like, maybe you should do it this way, or are you sure you are ready? Their words are carefully crafted to create hesitation, to make you second guess your decisions, and to keep you off balance. You might leave a conversation with them feeling confused, frustrated, or uncertain about your own abilities. And slowly, if unchecked, you begin to rely on their guidance, their validation, and their opinion instead of trusting your own judgment. This is their power, and it is subtle, dangerous, and often invisible until you are deeply entangled in it. In daily life, the toxic manipulator can be a friend who always wants to borrow your ideas and present them as their own. You might notice patterns over time. They remember the highlights of your plans, your connections, your strategies, and then use those pieces to advance themselves. You feel as though something is off, yet you cannot place it. Perhaps they celebrate your success, but the smile is hollow, the words forced. Their questions are probing, not out of curiosity, but out of strategy. They are not your ally, they are a player, and you are a piece on their board. Family members can also fall into this pattern. A relative may appear supportive of your goals, but constantly undermines your confidence. They might subtly remind you of past failures or mistakes, highlighting your weaknesses rather than your strengths. Remember when you tried that before and it didn't work. They say, planting doubts in your mind. Each comment, each subtle criticism, each well-disguised suggestion chips away at your self-esteem, making you question your own abilities and creating a sense of dependency on their guidance. Toxic manipulators often thrive on your kindness and generosity. They know that you want to believe the best in people, and they exploit that. They may ask favors, request assistance, or encourage collaboration, not because they are interested in mutual growth, but because they see an opportunity to advance themselves while keeping you entangled. They smile while taking, and when you attempt to confront them, they deflect, manipulate, or make you feel guilty. I was just trying to help, they say, twisting the narrative so that you feel the need to apologize or justify your response. Their influence is particularly dangerous in professional settings. Imagine you are a visionary with a plan to launch a project and you share it with a colleague who seems supportive. Later, you discover that they have taken parts of your idea and presented them as their own, gaining recognition and rewards while leaving you questioning your worth and contributions. Toxic manipulators feed on your trust, your openness, and your integrity, and they often leave a trail of confusion, frustration, and lost opportunities behind them. To identify toxic manipulators, you must observe patterns, not isolated incidents. They rarely have your best interest at heart consistently. They are reactive to your progress. They become quiet or cold when you succeed, jealous when others praise you, and eager to control when you act independently. Their loyalty is conditional, their support transactional, and their presence is draining, even when it is disguised as charm or encouragement. In life, the lesson of the toxic manipulator is clear. Your energy, your trust, and your focus are precious resources. When someone repeatedly creates doubt, manipulates your emotions, or seeks to benefit from your work without genuine reciprocity, it is not a personal failure. It is an opportunity to recognize a pattern and reclaim your power. You must see them clearly, not through anger or resentment, but through awareness and wisdom. Protect your life, your mind, and your dreams from their influence. Sometimes the manipulator is so close that confrontation feels impossible. Yet the most powerful act is not confrontation. It is disengagement. It is setting boundaries, limiting exposure, and refusing to allow someone else's agenda to dictate your emotional state or your progress. In everyday life, this might mean politely declining advice that feels controlling, reducing contact with someone who undermines you, or refusing to share personal plans with someone who uses information for their gain. The key is vigilance. Awareness allows you to interact without becoming ensnared, to collaborate without losing your independence, and to trust without blind loyalty. Toxic manipulators teach a critical lesson about self-respect, personal boundaries, and discernment. They remind us that not everyone who smiles with us walks with us in our journey. They challenge us to trust ourselves, rely on our judgment, and protect the vision we carry. Life is filled with people who will try to take advantage of your talents, your kindness, and your vision. But awareness transforms that threat into strength. When you recognize manipulation for what it is, you gain clarity, you reclaim your focus, and you preserve your energy for those who genuinely celebrate your growth and contribute positively to your journey. The world is filled with individuals who will pretend to walk with you, but are secretly plotting to ride your momentum. The toxic manipulator is not always a villain in a story. They are ordinary people acting out of self-interest, fear, or insecurity, but their impact can be extraordinary if allowed unchecked. Your responsibility is to see clearly, act wisely, and protect the life you are building. The measure of your growth is not just in achievements, but in the quality of people you allow into your space, the boundaries you set, and the courage you have to disengage from anyone whose energy is destructive. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to find something to complain about, no matter where they are or what they have? They complain about their jobs, their relationships, their circumstances, even the weather. Their words are heavy, their energy is thick with negativity, and their perspective seems to be permanently clouded by dissatisfaction. When you spend too much time around these people, you begin to absorb their complaints, their frustration, their sense of limitation. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, your mind starts to see the world through their lens of despair. A casual conversation that should have been light becomes a burden, and your optimism, your clarity, and your ambition start to feel like distant memories. Imagine you sit down with a friend who constantly grumbles about everything, and you leave the conversation feeling exhausted, as if you have run a marathon without moving an inch. That is the power of the chronic complainer, and it is stronger than most people realize. These individuals are often blind to the fact that their words shape the reality of those around them. They speak constantly about what is wrong rather than what can be improved, and over time, their presence becomes a mental drain. Consider someone in the workplace who never sees a solution, only problems. They point out obstacles at every turn, criticize ideas before they are even fully formed, and create a cloud of doubt over projects and initiatives. At first, you may feel empathy or even try to offer solutions, but soon you realize that no matter how many suggestions you give, nothing will satisfy them. Their complaints are not a call for action. They are a habit, a pattern, a way to vent without responsibility. If you allow yourself to be caught in this web, your own focus, creativity, and determination will be consumed by their endless dissatisfaction. In daily life, chronic complainers can appear as neighbors, family members, or friends who constantly remind you of what is lacking instead of what is possible. Imagine a parent who constantly laments about the difficulties of raising children, the hardships of finances, or the unfairness of life. Their children may grow up absorbing that mindset, believing the world is a place of endless struggle, that effort rarely leads to reward, and that success is reserved for others. The same happens with friends who complain about failed relationships, missed opportunities, or the way society treats them. Spending time with these individuals can make your own dreams feel small, your ambitions seem impossible, and your enthusiasm wane. The truth is, chronic complainers are often stuck in their own limitations. They have learned to dwell on the negative because it feels safer than risk, effort, or change. Complaining becomes a shield against responsibility, a way to justify inaction, and a tool to gain sympathy without creating solutions. They do not see that their habitual negativity is contagious. It spreads to everyone around them, subtly altering moods, dampening creativity, and slowing momentum. Your energy is precious, and every conversation you have with a chronic complainer takes a small piece of it, leaving you less capable of pursuing your own goals and vision. Consider an example from everyday life. Imagine a friend constantly talking about how their career is going nowhere, how their boss is unfair, and how opportunities never come their way. At first, you listen with compassion, but after months of hearing the same complaints without any attempt to change or improve their situation, you begin to notice that your own motivation is fading. You start seeing your work through a lens of frustration. Your progress seems harder, and your optimism diminishes. Your energy, which should be focused on growth, is instead being siphoned away by someone else's negativity. Chronic complainers have this invisible power to anchor others to mediocrity without even trying. It is important to realize that success demands positivity, creativity, and solutions. Life does not reward endless whining. It rewards those who see problems and find ways to overcome them. When you are surrounded by chronic complainers, your mind becomes cluttered with excuses, doubts, and fears that are not your own. Your vision becomes obscured, your courage is weakened, and your potential feels unreachable. Yet awareness is power. Recognizing the presence of chronic complainers in your life allows you to protect your energy, maintain your focus, and cultivate an environment that fosters growth instead of frustration. Sometimes chronic complainers are people we love deeply, and this is where discipline and wisdom are most necessary. You cannot control their behavior, but you can control how much influence they have on you. For example, if a relative constantly complains about life's unfairness, you might choose to limit conversations, redirect discussions to solutions, or simply listen without absorbing their despair. If a coworker consistently criticizes every initiative, you can focus on your own performance, set clear boundaries, and not allow their negativity to dictate your confidence or actions. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary for your growth and your ability to fulfill your purpose. There is also a lesson in understanding why chronic complainers behave the way they do. Often, they feel powerless in their own lives. Their complaints are cries for attention, validation, or empathy, But without action, they remain trapped in the cycle of dissatisfaction. Recognizing this helps you approach them with compassion, but without surrendering your energy. You can care for them without carrying the weight of their negativity. In this way, you maintain your focus while also preserving your heart from unnecessary burden. Your life will inevitably encounter people who are stuck in patterns of complaint. They will always find something wrong, and if you are not careful, their mindset can infiltrate your own. The antidote is awareness, boundaries, and a commitment to solution-focused living. Choose to surround yourself with those who inspire, encourage, and challenge you to grow. Choose conversations that expand your mind, uplift your spirit, and energize your heart. Remember that every minute spent in the presence of chronic complainers is a minute of energy diverted from your dreams, your vision, and your purpose. Each time you engage with a chronic complainer, ask yourself, am I absorbing this negativity, or am I learning to rise above it? Every interaction is a choice. Every conversation is an investment of your energy, and every moment is an opportunity to either grow or be weighed down. Life rewards those who see obstacles and find solutions, who transform dissatisfaction into action, and who maintain clarity and focus despite the noise around them. Recognizing and managing the influence of chronic complainers is not just a survival skill. It is a critical step toward living a life of purpose, excellence, and achievement. Have you ever had a friend who seems to be there when everything is going well, when the sun is shining, when the celebrations are happening, but disappears the moment life becomes difficult or challenging? These are the fair weather friends, and their presence is conditional, dependent on convenience rather than commitment. They are quick to cheer when you achieve something, to laugh at your jokes, to attend your parties, or to share in your successes. But when storms come, when hardships appear, when you face rejection, loss, or failure, they are nowhere to be found. It is easy to mistake their presence during good times for loyalty. But true friendship is measured by who stands beside you when the winds of adversity blow, not by who claps when the spotlight is on you. Imagine celebrating a promotion or a personal achievement with friends, feeling joy and pride, only to realize that when you lose your job, face a personal crisis, or encounter disappointment, the same friends vanish as if they never existed. It is in these moments that you discover the truth about relationships, and the lesson is not about bitterness. It is about awareness and discernment. Fair weather friends often make life feel lighter in good times, but their absence in hard times leaves a deeper void than the challenges themselves. Consider a daily life example. You are going through a difficult breakup, a financial setback, or a serious health concern. You reach out to your circle of friends, hoping for support, guidance, or even a listening ear, and many of the people you counted on are suddenly unavailable. Calls go unanswered, messages ignored, invitations to meet vanish. The contrast between their enthusiasm during your victories and their disappearance during your struggles reveals their true priorities. They were not invested in your journey. They were invested in the convenience of your success. And this is not uncommon. Many people will appear to be friends when it benefits them, when it is easy, when it does not demand sacrifice, but loyalty requires consistency, commitment, and courage. Sometimes fair weather friends do not realize the impact of their absence, but their effect on your life is tangible. You may begin to question your value, your choices, or even your capacity to overcome challenges. Their disappearance may feel like rejection, and the emotional weight can make difficult situations even heavier. Yet, this is also an opportunity to observe human behavior and understand that not everyone who smiles with you in sunshine will walk with you in rain. The fair weather friend reveals the nature of conditional relationships, and recognizing this allows you to focus on connections that are genuine, reciprocal, and empowering. In daily experiences, fair weather friends often thrive in social settings, in moments of visibility, in situations where their presence elevates their own image. They want to be seen celebrating your success because it makes them feel included, important, or admired. But they avoid the responsibility, the discomfort, or the vulnerability of supporting you during hard times. They may offer platitudes, temporary advice, or brief sympathy, but when true support is required, they retreat, leaving you to navigate the challenges alone. It is as if they are spectators in your life rather than participants, applauding when it is safe, but absent when courage, loyalty, or sacrifice is needed. This pattern can be particularly painful in professional or educational settings. A colleague may celebrate your achievements publicly, compliment your ideas, or join in your successes. But when you face workplace challenges, tight deadlines, or critical evaluations, they are the first to disappear. They offer no guidance, no assistance, and no moral support, revealing that their commitment was not to you, but to the appearance of being supportive when it served them. Recognizing fair weather friends in these contexts is crucial, because your energy, focus, and trust are valuable resources that should not be invested in conditional relationships. Family members can also display fair weather behavior during times of joy, birthdays, anniversaries, or social gatherings. They are present, contributing to celebrations and enjoying the shared moments. Yet when illness strikes, when emotional support is needed, or when advice and guidance are critical, they may be absent or preoccupied with their own concerns. This is not necessarily malicious. It is often a reflection of priorities and personal comfort zones. However, the lesson remains: loyalty and support cannot be measured during convenience. They are defined during trials and adversity. The presence of fair weather friends in your life is also an opportunity for growth and self-reflection. When you recognize who disappears during storms, you gain clarity about where to invest your time, energy, and love. True friendship is not a temporary convenience. It is a consistent presence, an unwavering support system, and a mutual investment in each other's growth and well-being. Observing who leaves and who stays teaches you to appreciate those who are genuinely committed, who act as anchors rather than distractions, and who contribute positively to your journey. Sometimes the lesson of fair weather friends is subtle but powerful. You learn to rely more on yourself, to build resilience, and to cultivate an internal sense of strength that does not depend on external validation. You discover that while others may vanish, your capacity to persevere, to take responsibility, and to navigate life's challenges remains intact. This is an empowering realization. Your life is not contingent on the convenience of others, but on your own courage, focus, and commitment. Fair weather friends also teach the value of selective investment. Every relationship requires time, energy, and trust. And when you invest in those who are inconsistent or conditional, your resources are drained without reciprocation. By identifying these patterns early, you learn to prioritize relationships that are authentic, supportive, and aligned with your vision. Your life deserves people who stand by you during uncertainty, who lift you when you stumble, and who remain present even when it is difficult, inconvenient, or uncomfortable. In essence, fair weather friends serve as both a warning and a lesson. They remind you to observe human behavior closely, to protect your energy, and to cultivate relationships that are built on mutual respect, loyalty, and unconditional support. They reveal who truly values your presence and who merely enjoys your successes when it suits them. And they challenge you to invest wisely, act with discernment, and maintain clarity in your personal and professional connections. Have you ever noticed how some people, without even realizing it, have a way of pulling you away from what truly matters in your life? They may seem harmless at first. They invite you to chat when you should be working, suggest a quick break when your focus is sharp, or encourage activities that seem fun but ultimately take you off course. These are the distraction creators, and their influence is subtle but powerful. They do not always speak negatively or try to undermine you directly. Instead, they lure you with comfort, convenience, or temporary pleasure, convincing you that postponing your goals, ignoring your purpose, or indulging in idle habits is harmless. Every hour spent on distraction is an hour stolen from your potential, an hour that could have been invested in progress, growth, or building the life you desire. Consider a daily life example. You wake up early with a clear plan for the day, a vision for your work, and a commitment to your goals. Someone close to you calls or texts, suggesting a coffee, a casual hangout, or a long conversation about trivial matters. At first, you think it will be just a short break, but soon hours are gone. The work you intended to complete remains unfinished, your focus is scattered, and your momentum is lost. These small diversions may seem insignificant, but over time they accumulate. The distraction creators do not intend to harm you. They are merely unaware of the value of your time and the power of focus. But the effect is the same. Your dreams are delayed, your energy is misdirected, and your progress is slowed. Distraction creators often thrive in social settings. They may invite gossip, endless debate about irrelevant topics, or shared indulgence in habits that offer temporary pleasure but long-term stagnation. Imagine a group of friends who constantly discuss what others are doing, critique opportunities you should be pursuing, or encourage entertainment instead of effort. It can feel enjoyable in the moment, like a light escape from reality. But every moment spent here is a moment away from your purpose. Your mind becomes accustomed to wandering, your priorities become blurred, and you start to rationalize procrastination as harmless fun. The subtle danger is that distraction feels comfortable, it feels normal, and it slowly reshapes your habits without your awareness. Even in professional settings, distraction creators exist. Colleagues may engage you in idle talk during productive hours, encourage debates that go nowhere, or invite you to join projects that do not align with your vision. It may feel collegial or polite to participate, but every hour you invest in distractions is an hour not spent developing skills, building influence, or pursuing advancement. The world does not reward busy activity. It rewards focused action. Distractions may entertain, but they rarely contribute to meaningful results, and distraction creators, whether intentionally or not, steer you away from the path that leads to growth and fulfillment. Family and personal relationships can also present distractions. A family member may encourage constant social gatherings, entertainment, or indulgence in habits that provide temporary comfort but no long-term progress. Friends may pressure you into routines, trips, or activities that take you away from disciplined work. While these moments can be enjoyable, they must be weighed against the cost to your purpose. Life is short, and time is the one resource that, once lost, can never be regained. Every distraction, no matter how innocent it seems, chips away at your opportunity to create, contribute, and achieve. Distraction creators can also appear within your own mind. They plant subtle suggestions of procrastination. You deserve a break. It can wait until tomorrow. Just relax for a bit. While self-care is necessary, these moments become dangerous when they are repeated excessively, creating habits of delay and avoidance. The mind begins to justify inactivity. The heart begins to crave comfort over growth, and the spirit loses its urgency. Recognizing external distraction creators often helps us recognize our internal ones, the voices of doubt, laziness, or fear that echo the suggestions of others. One of the most powerful lessons about distraction creators is the importance of discernment. Your time is precious, your energy is finite, and your focus is your most valuable currency. Every decision to indulge in distraction comes with an unseen cost, a missed opportunity, a delayed achievement, or a slowed journey toward your purpose. Imagine a student who dreams of starting a business. Every afternoon spent on idle social media or meaningless entertainment is an hour taken from research, planning, or skill development. Imagine an employee with the potential to lead in their organization. Every hour spent entertaining gossip or diversions is a missed chance to innovate, impress, or grow influence. The distractions themselves are small, but their cumulative effect can determine the difference between mediocrity and success. Distraction creators also teach an essential lesson about boundaries. To protect your time, you must learn to say no, to redirect conversations, to limit exposure to unproductive interactions. Saying no is not selfish, it is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that your life, your vision, and your purpose are worth more than temporary diversion. You will notice that people who respect their own time naturally command more respect from others. When you establish boundaries, even subtly, you preserve your focus and signal that your priorities cannot be compromised. The distraction creators also highlight the importance of environment. Your surroundings shape your behavior more than you may realize. If your daily environment is filled with interruptions, temptations, and idle influences, your ability to focus will suffer. The opposite is also true. When you surround yourself with people who value discipline, focus, and purpose, distractions lose their power. Your mind becomes sharper, your energy more directed, and your actions more intentional. In life, focus is not just a skill. It is a discipline, a habit, and a choice. And the ability to identify distraction creators is a prerequisite for mastering it. In essence, distraction creators are everywhere: friends, family, colleagues, and even your own internal thoughts. They test your awareness, your discipline, and your commitment to purpose. Life rewards those who focus, who prioritize, and who consistently direct energy toward meaningful goals. Every choice you make about how to spend your time either moves you closer to your vision or pulls you further away. Recognizing distraction, identifying its sources, and protecting your energy are not optional. They are essential for anyone who desires to live a life of impact, achievement, and fulfillment. Have you ever felt exhausted after spending time with a family member, even though you love them deeply? Have you noticed that some relatives, while appearing caring and involved, somehow manage to drain your energy, undermine your confidence, or make you feel guilty for pursuing your dreams. These are the energy vampires disguised as family. They do not always act with malice, and they may truly believe they are helping or guiding you, but their influence can quietly hold you back, anchor you in fear, and prevent you from stepping fully into your potential. They demand attention, approval, or compliance, often without giving anything in return, and their expectations can feel like chains rather than support. Consider a daily life example. You decide to start a business, something you have envisioned for months, maybe years, and you share your plan with a relative who has always been protective of you. At first, they offer advice, warnings, or suggestions, but soon their words start to feel heavy, limiting, and critical. Are you sure this is wise? They ask. Maybe you should wait until things are safer. Or this is not how our family has always done things. Each comment is wrapped in care, but beneath the surface, there is fear and a subtle attempt to control your choices. They are unconsciously projecting their own limitations onto you, and without awareness, you may begin to doubt your abilities, question your dreams, and consider abandoning your vision just to maintain harmony. Energy vampires disguised as family often use guilt as a tool. They remind you of obligations, traditions, or past sacrifices in ways that make it difficult to pursue your own path without feeling selfish. For instance, a family member may say, "We have always done things this way," or "Think about how this will affect everyone else," implying that your pursuit of personal growth or success is a betrayal. Their energy is not meant to destroy you, but their fear, insecurity, or attachment to tradition can be so strong that it creates invisible barriers around your ambition. The effect is subtle yet powerful. You start to prioritize their comfort over your purpose, and your energy, focus, and determination are drained in the process. In daily life, these family energy vampires appear in various forms. Some criticize your choices in careers, relationships, or education. Some insist on constant attention or validation, pulling you away from your responsibilities, goals, or personal development. Others compare you to siblings, cousins, or past generations, reminding you of what is expected or how things should be done. While the intention may be rooted in care or tradition, the outcome is often limitation. They are draining your energy, clouding your clarity, and keeping you from fully embracing your potential. It is important to remember that loving your family does not mean sacrificing your destiny. Boundaries are not acts of rebellion or disrespect. They are acts of self-respect. In life, the most courageous thing you can do is to honor your dreams while managing the expectations and fears of those closest to you. Imagine a young artist whose parents constantly discourage painting, insisting on a more practical career. The artist may initially complain, feeling guilt or fear of disappointing family, but every suppressed hour of creativity erodes confidence, diminishes talent, and delays the realization of potential. Setting boundaries in this context is not rejection, it is protection. It is creating space to flourish without harm or conflict, without abandoning love or loyalty, but without sacrificing your purpose. These energy vampires often disguise themselves as advisors. They give helpful suggestions but rarely allow you to act independently. Their guidance comes with strings attached, their support conditional, and their approval tied to compliance with their worldview. You may notice patterns in conversation. They question your decisions excessively, emphasize risks over opportunities, or highlight family or social norms as barriers to action. Their energy can feel heavy, and after prolonged interactions, you leave feeling mentally exhausted, emotionally drained, or second-guessing your abilities. This is not coincidence. It is a consistent pattern that demands awareness and intentional response. Sometimes the challenge is compounded because family is sacred and societal or cultural expectations make confrontation uncomfortable. However, protecting your energy does not require conflict. It requires clarity, courage, and consistency. It might look like politely declining to discuss certain topics, limiting time spent in draining interactions, or redirecting conversations toward constructive dialogue. It might mean quietly pursuing your goals while minimizing interference, choosing action over argument, and keeping your focus on your vision rather than their fear. The key is to maintain love without surrendering your purpose. Family energy vampires also test emotional resilience. They push buttons unconsciously or consciously, triggering guilt, fear, or self-doubt. Imagine a scenario where a family member dismisses your accomplishments, focusing instead on what you haven't done or what could go wrong. If you internalize these messages, Your confidence shrinks and hesitation grows. Yet, if you maintain awareness, recognize the patterns, and assert boundaries, you protect your energy, nurture your self-esteem, and preserve your capacity to pursue your dreams. Their presence teaches an essential life lesson. Love and loyalty are not incompatible with self-protection. The strongest relationships are those where boundaries are respected, where mutual growth is encouraged, and where energy is not drained by fear, criticism, or undue control. By identifying family energy vampires, you learn to interact consciously, engaging with care, maintaining respect, and preserving your freedom to act, create, and succeed. In everyday life, the awareness of energy vampires disguised as family transforms how you approach interactions. You learn to differentiate between genuine guidance and limiting influence. You begin to protect your mind from manipulation, your heart from guilt, and your spirit from unnecessary burden. You cultivate a space where your potential is nurtured rather than suppressed, where your vision is supported rather than constrained, and where love coexists with purpose, clarity, and freedom. Have you ever noticed how some people have a way of making you feel small just by being around them? They smile, they nod, they act supportive, yet every word they speak, every comment they make seems designed to redefine what is possible for you. These are the negative influences. They do not always come with harsh criticism or obvious hostility. Often, they are subtle, charming, and even persuasive. They have mastered the art of normalizing mediocrity, of making you question whether your ambitions are too big, whether your dreams are unrealistic, or whether your desire for growth is somehow selfish. Imagine sharing your vision with a friend, a colleague, or even a mentor, and instead of excitement or encouragement, you hear, "Are you sure you can handle that?" Or "Maybe this is too much for you." The words are small, almost casual, but the effect is profound. Slowly, doubt creeps into your mind, fear settles in your heart, and hesitation replaces action. Negative influencers are experts at making ambition feel like a crime. They make you feel guilty for wanting more, for daring to reach higher, for refusing to settle for less than your potential. They may say things like, "Be realistic," "You don't want to overreach," or "Just be content with what you have." Contentment is healthy in moderation, but when it is enforced by someone else's fear, it becomes a chain binding your spirit and stifling your growth. Growth is not a crime, it is your responsibility. And anyone who shames your ambition is trying to define limits that do not belong to them. In daily life, this may appear as a friend discouraging your entrepreneurial ideas, a family member questioning your educational choices, or a colleague dismissing your leadership potential. The intention may vary, but the impact is the same. Your mind begins to shrink to fit their comfort zone rather than expand toward your purpose. Consider a common example. You are passionate about starting a new project, something innovative, something that could challenge norms and inspire change. You share your plan with someone close to you, someone you trust, and they respond with skepticism. What if it fails? They ask, "You have other responsibilities," or "Maybe wait until the timing is better." Each of these statements, though seemingly practical, carries an invisible weight. They are not offering guidance. They are redefining what failure looks like in your mind, creating fear where none should exist, and subtly teaching you to accept mediocrity as safety. Their influence is contagious. Spend enough time around these voices, and you begin to see your own ambition as dangerous, your goals as risky, and your desire to grow as wrong. In everyday life, negative influencers often come disguised as advisors, friends, or well-meaning family members. They may claim to protect you from disappointment, to prevent failure, or to keep you grounded. Yet, what they often protect you from is not failure, but growth. They normalize settling for less, glorify mediocrity, and instill a sense of guilt for daring to be more. Imagine a coworker who constantly reminds you of past mistakes, a friend who criticizes every bold decision, or a relative who subtly undermines your confidence by highlighting limitations and fears. After repeated exposure, you start internalizing their perspective. Their doubts become your doubts, their fear becomes your hesitation, and their definition of failure begins to shape your actions. Negative influencers also teach a critical life lesson. Awareness is your first line of defense. You must recognize who in your circle redefines failure for you, who consistently dampens your excitement, and who makes ambition feel uncomfortable. Awareness allows you to respond intentionally rather than unconsciously absorbing their limitations. For instance, when someone questions your potential, you can acknowledge their concern without letting it dictate your choices. You can listen, evaluate, and decide whether their input serves your growth or serves their comfort with mediocrity. The most dangerous influence is subtle, persistent, and dressed in kindness. It requires vigilance, discernment, and courage to resist. Family dynamics often amplify the impact of negative influences. Relatives may unintentionally impose cultural, generational, or personal limitations onto you, insisting that you conform to traditions, settle for safety, or pursue a path deemed acceptable by their standards. A parent may say, "This is how things are done." A sibling may warn, "Don't make waves." Or a cousin may imply, "Why are you trying to be different?" Their words, though wrapped in care, subtly teach you that ambition is dangerous, that success beyond their expectations is unnecessary, and that pursuing your dreams may be selfish. The struggle is real, loving them while refusing to let their limitations define your destiny. In professional life, negative influences are equally insidious. They are the colleagues who discourage innovation, the bosses who celebrate conformity, the peers who question every initiative. When you share a big idea, a negative influencer frames it as risk, impossibility, or arrogance. They normalize the familiar path, glorify caution, and create an environment where playing safe feels virtuous. The result is a culture of limitation, where fear masquerades as wisdom, and ambition becomes a liability rather than an asset. Yet, the person who understands their own responsibility will not allow this influence to redefine their possibilities. Negative influences ultimately remind you that growth demands courage. It requires resilience against doubt, determination against discouragement, and clarity against confusion. They challenge your focus and test your commitment, but they cannot stop you unless you let them. Every visionary, every leader, every person who has transformed their life had to navigate negative voices, inside and outside themselves. The key difference is awareness and action. The ambitious person learns to listen without being bound, to evaluate without being paralyzed, and to pursue without being shamed. The presence of negative influences in your life is inevitable, but surrendering to their definitions of failure is optional. Your responsibility is to honor your ambition, protect your dreams, and cultivate relationships that uplift, inspire, and challenge you positively. Every time you allow someone to shame your ambition, you delay your purpose, dim your potential, and compromise the life you were meant to create. Recognizing, understanding, and managing the influence of negative people is not arrogance. It is self-preservation, it is courage, and it is a necessary step toward living fully in alignment with your vision, capacity, and destiny. Have you ever met someone who constantly offers advice, encouragement, or motivation, yet somehow their words leave you feeling smaller, uncertain, or unsure of yourself? These are the fake motivators, the people who pretend to inspire but secretly compete with you. They are experts at dressing up control as guidance, envy as encouragement, and rivalry as mentorship. At first, they seem like allies. They nod, smile, and even praise your achievements. But if you pay close attention, you notice a pattern. Their support is never fully selfless. Their advice often comes with strings, and their words subtly steer you toward decisions that benefit them more than they benefit you. Imagine sharing a breakthrough idea, a new plan, or a personal goal, and instead of genuine excitement, you sense a quiet tension, a shadow of competition lurking behind their praise. The fake motivator applauds, but they measure themselves against your progress, and their guidance is often designed to keep you under their influence or control. In daily life, fake motivators are everywhere. They could be a colleague who constantly offers helpful tips, but subtly undermines your decisions, a friend who congratulates you on your achievements, but immediately reminds you of their own accomplishments, or a mentor who encourages growth only within boundaries that suit their agenda. Their motivation is conditional. It thrives when they are in a position of power or advantage, and it falters when your success starts to outshine theirs. They may appear wise and supportive, but the moment you begin to step confidently into your potential, their words shift, their tone changes, and their encouragement is replaced with subtle criticism or doubt. Consider a real-life example. You are preparing for a major presentation, a project, or a performance that could elevate your career or personal life. A friend or colleague approaches you with advice, offering tips, insights, or suggestions that seem helpful. But as you implement their guidance, you notice that they question your choices, highlight obstacles you hadn't considered, or emphasize risks in a way that sows doubt. Their intention is not to empower you. It is to ensure that you remain reliant on them, that your success does not surpass theirs, and that you continue to measure yourself against their standards rather than your own potential. Their praise is a mask, and their motivation is a means of subtle control. Fake motivators thrive on comparison. They celebrate your wins only insofar as wins reflect positively on them or allow them to assert superiority. They do not rejoice in your independence, your growth, or your innovation. A true ally is delighted by your victories and lifts you higher. A fake motivator measures your victories against their own, offering conditional congratulations that are tinged with envy. Imagine a scenario where a friend constantly tells you to follow your dreams, only to remind you how challenging it is or how they could do it better. Each compliment is a test, each encouragement a subtle competition, and your energy is slowly drained as you try to meet their standards rather than your own. In family dynamics, fake motivators often appear as relatives who want the best for you, but consistently compare you to siblings, cousins, or their own experiences. I just want you to be realistic, they say, while secretly wishing you would remain dependent or under their influence. They disguise fear and insecurity as guidance, often advising caution in ways that limit your growth and delay your success. Their approval is conditional, their support is strategic, and their involvement is designed to keep you tethered rather than empowered. Recognizing this pattern requires self-awareness and courage, because their intentions are hidden behind care, concern, and motivation. Fake motivators also test emotional intelligence. They encourage you with one hand while subtly pulling with the other. They measure your responses, your resilience, and your decisions, and often make you doubt whether your achievements are enough or truly yours. They ask questions like, "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Or, "Do you really know what you're doing?" And these questions, though framed as concern, are seeds of self-doubt. If left unchecked, these seeds grow, clouding your judgment, weakening your confidence, and making you reliant on their validation instead of trusting your own insight. The presence of fake motivators in your life teaches a critical lesson: discernment is essential. Not everyone who appears to inspire you has your best interests at heart. The most powerful leaders, mentors, and allies celebrate your victories unconditionally. They lift you, they encourage growth, and they share wisdom without trying to manipulate outcomes for their advantage. Fake motivators, on the other hand, subtly compete with you, measure you against themselves, and use encouragement as a tool of influence. Awareness allows you to protect your energy, maintain clarity, and invest your trust in people who genuinely celebrate and empower you. In professional life, fake motivators often masquerade as mentors or coaches. They may provide guidance, but the guidance is designed to maintain dependency, ensure you remain within boundaries convenient to them, or subtly direct credit their way. They measure your progress, ask probing questions disguised as curiosity, and ensure that your ambition does not exceed what they can tolerate or control. They do not rejoice in your independence. They fear it. Your awareness of this dynamic allows you to navigate relationships wisely, learning to accept advice when it serves your growth and reject influence when it serves someone else's agenda. Fake motivators ultimately remind you that not all encouragement is empowerment. The difference lies in intent. A true motivator celebrates your victories without envy, lifts you without control, and inspires without expecting repayment. A fake motivator celebrates conditionally, competes silently, and offers advice to control rather than empower. Life rewards those who recognize this distinction, who protect their energy, and who invest in relationships that foster genuine growth. Understanding the difference between real allies and fake motivators allows you to move forward with clarity, confidence, and courage, ensuring that every step you take is fueled by inspiration that elevates rather than diminishes your potential. Have you ever shared a dream with someone only to have them dismiss it, belittle it, or question your ability to achieve it? These are the dream killers. They are everywhere. In your workplace, in your family, in your circle of friends, and sometimes even in your own mind. They do not always shout insults or mockery. Often their words are quiet, seemingly reasonable, but devastating in their impact. They say things like, "You can't do that, why bother?" Or, "This is too risky." They are blind to the power, potential, and possibilities that lie within you. What they fail to realize is that the world does not need their approval. It needs your courage, your vision, and your willingness to act despite doubt. The dream killers exist to test your resolve, to reveal whether your passion is authentic, and to separate the timid from the bold. Imagine standing at the edge of a decision that could change your life, only to hear voices telling you to step back, to be safe, to conform. Every caution, every question, and every doubt from them is a challenge for you to rise above. In daily life, dream killers appear in subtle and obvious ways. Consider someone at work who dismisses your idea for a new project, insisting it will fail because this is how it's always been done. Imagine a friend who laughs at your entrepreneurial plans, suggesting it is impractical or unattainable. Even family members, with their desire to protect you, often project their own fears onto your aspirations. You will struggle. You might waste your time. Are you sure this is for you? They speak from a place of limitation, not possibility. And if you let their words take root in your mind, your dreams can wither before they even begin. Dream killers do not measure reality. They measure your ambition against their own comfort and fear. One powerful example comes from everyday life. A young artist has a vision to start a gallery to share creativity that has never been celebrated before. They tell a relative or mentor about the idea, and instead of encouragement, they are met with skepticism. People won't pay for that. It's too risky. Why not just get a safe job? These statements, though delivered with concern, plant seeds of doubt. At first, the artist may question themselves, feel hesitation, or even delay action. But the lesson is clear. The dream killer does not define your reality. They only reveal the courage and resilience you must summon. Every great accomplishment in history has been met with voices of doubt. Every innovator, every leader, every trailblazer encountered people who said, you can't, it's impossible, or why bother? And yet they pressed on, fueled not by approval, but by vision and determination. Dream killers are not always malicious. Some are sincere, some are fearful, and some are unaware of the damage they inflict. They speak from a mindset of limitation, projecting their insecurities and past failures onto your future. They cannot see beyond their own experiences, and they fail to recognize that your potential is not defined by their imagination. The danger lies not in their words, but in your willingness to internalize them. When you start to believe what they say, hesitation replaces action, doubt replaces confidence, and dreams are abandoned long before they have a chance to manifest. The world does not need your permission to thrive, and it does not require the consent of those who doubt you. Your life's purpose is not contingent on their understanding. It is contingent on your courage, your persistence, and your unwavering belief in possibility. Another real-life example is the student who dreams of pursuing a career that is unconventional or highly competitive. Teachers, peers, and even family may unintentionally discourage them. That field is too difficult. Maybe you should choose something safer. Success is rare in that path. Each cautionary word is a reminder of fear, not reality. If the student allows these messages to define their vision, potential is wasted, opportunity slips away, and passion is suffocated. Yet, if they recognize these as the voices of dream killers, they can thank them silently for the lesson and continue moving forward with clarity and courage. The lesson is simple: external doubt cannot extinguish internal fire unless you allow it. Dream killers also test emotional resilience and self-awareness. They challenge your confidence, provoke self-reflection, and force you to ask, how committed am I to my vision? Am I willing to act when others doubt me, when obstacles arise, when the world says it cannot be done? In many ways, the presence of dream killers is a blessing in disguise. They force you to separate approval from purpose, fear from faith, and hesitation from action. Every word of doubt they utter is an opportunity to strengthen your determination, sharpen your focus, and deepen your commitment to your own destiny. In professional and personal life, dream killers often appear as advisors or mentors whose guidance is rooted in caution rather than possibility. They may offer advice intended to prevent failure, but their fear inadvertently restricts your imagination. They cannot see the unique contributions only you can make, and they measure possibility by their limitations. Yet those who achieve greatness understand this truth: the vision is yours, the courage is yours, and the world awaits the bold, not the compliant. The dream killer's lesson is simple. Recognize their presence, learn from their perspective if useful, but never allow it to define the limits of your ambition. The dream killer's ultimate purpose in your life is to teach you to stand firm in your vision. They are reminders that courage is essential, that approval is optional, and that your potential is too valuable to surrender to someone else's fear. History is filled with people who succeeded despite the no's, cannots, and why bothers. Their dreams were met with ridicule, doubt, and disbelief, yet they persisted. Your dreams deserve the same resilience. When someone attempts to kill your vision, the most powerful response is not argument, not resentment, but clarity, focus, and action. Thank them for the lesson. Learn what you can and move forward with courage, knowing that the world does not need their approval. It needs your boldness, your faith, and your determination to create what others cannot yet imagine. Have you ever noticed how some people can spend just a few minutes in your presence and leave you feeling drained, exhausted, or mentally cluttered? These are the energy leechers. They are the people who take relentlessly your time, your attention, your emotional energy, your ideas, without ever giving back in return. They are not always obvious. Sometimes they appear charming, helpful, or friendly, yet their patterns slowly erode your vitality and your focus. They rarely contribute to your growth, rarely celebrate your progress genuinely, and rarely inspire action that moves you forward. Instead, they consume, distract, and burden you, leaving a vacuum that can make even the strongest person question their own energy, commitment, and clarity. Life is not a charity for those who refuse to grow, and one of the greatest lessons you can learn is to identify who in your circle is contributing and who is draining. Consider a daily life example. You have spent weeks planning a project, a presentation, or even a personal goal, and you decide to discuss it with someone you trust. The energy leecher listens, nods, asks questions, and appears engaged. But after the conversation, you realize you feel mentally heavy, your excitement has diminished, and your clarity has been clouded. Instead of encouraging solutions, they focused on problems. Instead of offering ideas, they offered complaints. Instead of supporting your vision, they demanded your attention for their own unresolved issues. This pattern, repeated over time, slowly erodes your enthusiasm and distracts you from the actions necessary to achieve your purpose. Energy leeches are masters of subtle manipulation. They often frame their needs as emergencies, their complaints as priorities, and their insecurities as truths. You may find yourself saying yes to requests you cannot afford, taking on emotional burdens that are not yours to carry, or constantly adjusting your focus to accommodate their needs. They rarely reciprocate. Their attention is transactional. They give only to get, and they take without awareness or concern for the depletion they create. In relationships, friendships, or professional settings, their presence is a drain on energy, motivation, and creativity, and if left unchecked, they can quietly sabotage your potential. Imagine a scenario in everyday life. You are preparing for a career advancement opportunity or launching a personal venture, and a friend continuously calls, visits, or interrupts with problems that are not theirs to unload onto you. You try to be supportive, yet each interaction leaves you feeling mentally fatigued, emotionally drained, and distracted from your own priorities. At first, you rationalize it thinking, I'm helping a friend, this is normal, but over time, patterns emerge. Your dreams slow down, your focus shifts, and your progress is hindered. Not because of your lack of effort, but because your energy has been quietly siphoned away. The lesson here is profound. Your life, your vision, and your energy are too precious to be continuously drained by those unwilling or unable to contribute meaningfully. Energy leeches can also appear in professional settings. A colleague may constantly demand your assistance, take credit for your ideas, or seek advice without intention of reciprocating. Meetings become exhausting, collaborations become frustrating, and your capacity to innovate diminishes under the constant mental load of managing their needs. They rarely acknowledge your contributions, rarely provide support, and rarely inspire growth. Yet they take without pause, believing that your availability is unlimited. This is why discernment is critical. You must recognize who adds value to your life and who merely consumes your energy under the guise of interaction, friendship, or collaboration. Family dynamics are no exception. Relatives can unconsciously become energy leechers through constant dependence, excessive demands, or unresolved emotional baggage that they project onto you. A sibling, parent, or cousin may continuously share problems, request favors, or seek validation, leaving you drained, distracted, and emotionally exhausted. Their needs are important, but your purpose and growth cannot be sacrificed indefinitely. It requires courage, clarity, and consistency to protect your energy, establish boundaries, and invest in relationships that are reciprocal and empowering. Energy leechers are also teachers in disguise. They reveal the importance of boundaries, self-respect, and personal accountability. They force you to ask difficult questions. How much of my energy am I willing to give? Am I being drained silently while pursuing my own growth? Can I protect my focus without guilt, resentment, or compromise? These questions are critical because energy is the currency of progress. Every minute spent supporting someone unwilling to grow, every hour spent managing their dependency, every ounce of emotional labor given without reciprocation diminishes your capacity to achieve your own purpose. Recognizing the leecher is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of preservation, focus, and respect for your own journey. In daily life, the awareness of energy leeches transforms how you interact. You begin to discern between those who support, contribute, and uplift versus those who drain, distract, and weaken. You learn to prioritize interactions that inspire growth, stimulate creativity, and foster alignment with your vision. In doing so, you reclaim your energy, sharpen your focus, and accelerate your journey toward purpose. Life rewards those who recognize the value of their own energy, who invest it wisely, and who surround themselves with people who contribute, elevate, and inspire rather than diminish, or distract. Energy leeches ultimately teach a critical life principle. Your life, vision, and purpose are sacred, and your energy is finite. You cannot give endlessly without depletion. You cannot chase growth while being held back by those unwilling to contribute. You cannot allow anyone's dependence, negativity, or drain to dictate your potential. Surrounding yourself with people who contribute to your vision, who uplift your energy, and who support your journey is not optional. It is essential. Every great achiever, every visionary, every leader has learned this truth. The people you allow into your inner circle directly impact your energy, your focus, and your destiny as you stand at the edge of your own life, looking toward the possibilities that stretch before you. Remember this: the people you allow into your inner circle, the influences you accept, and the voices you listen to every day shape the trajectory of your destiny. Life is too short, your vision too precious, and your potential too powerful to allow the wrong people to dictate your direction. Every conversation you have, every hour you spend, and every ounce of your energy you give is an investment. And like any investment, you must ask yourself, who is benefiting from this? Who is adding value to my journey? Who is inspiring growth, lifting me higher, and challenging me to become the person I was created to be? Because the truth is, not everyone is meant to travel this path with you, and not every voice should carry weight in your decisions. Think about the visionaries, the leaders, the great achievers of history. Every one of them faced naysayers, detractors, and people who attempted to derail their purpose. They encountered negativity disguised as advice, distraction disguised as companionship, and fear disguised as concern. Yet they refused to surrender. They refused to allow doubt from others to define what they knew in their hearts to be possible. They understood a principle so simple yet so profound. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your associations. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and if those people drain your energy, question your dreams, or diminish your belief in yourself, they are costing you far more than moments. They are costing you your destiny. In daily life, this means making choices that others may not understand. It means walking away from conversations that weigh you down, spending less time with people who continually inject negativity, and surrounding yourself with those who elevate, inspire, and challenge you to grow. It requires courage because sometimes the people we remove are family, friends, colleagues, or familiar companions. It requires vision because you are choosing the future over comfort, your purpose over temporary approval, and your destiny over the familiarity of influence that does not serve you. And most importantly, it requires faith in yourself, the belief that you are capable, worthy, and destined to achieve greatness regardless of the doubts or distractions of others. Imagine your life as a garden. Every person you allow into your space is either a seed of growth or a weed of distraction. The energy leeches, the dream killers, the negative influences, and the fake motivators are the weeds. They drain nutrients from your soil, steal sunlight, and stunt the growth of your potential. The distraction creators and the envy-driven peers pull your attention away from what matters most. If you allow them to remain unchecked, your garden will never flourish. But when you act with intentionality, courage, and wisdom, you begin to remove the weeds, water the seeds of inspiration, and nurture the people and experiences that enrich your vision. Your garden begins to thrive, your purpose begins to bloom. Your life begins to reflect the greatness within you. Listen carefully, no one achieves greatness alone, but not all company is beneficial. The people who add value, who challenge you constructively, who inspire and empower are priceless. They amplify your strengths, illuminate possibilities, and accelerate your journey. They push you to reach higher when you feel tired, remind you of your capacity when you feel doubt, and celebrate your victories with unselfish joy. These are the relationships to invest in. These are the people to nurture. These are the voices to listen to daily. They are the difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of extraordinary purpose. And remember, every person you remove from your life is not a loss. It is a gain. When you let go of negativity, distraction, and energy drainers, you create space for empowerment, clarity, and growth. Your energy is restored. Your focus is sharpened. Your vision becomes clear. The world has a way of rewarding those who protect their purpose, respect their potential, and refuse to allow anyone else to define their limits. Do not fear the removal of the wrong influences. Fear the stagnation that comes from allowing them to stay. The courage to delete toxic connections is not cruelty. It is wisdom. It is an act of self-respect. And it is the first step toward the life you were meant to live. As Dr. Myles Munroe would say, purpose is not something you stumble upon. It is something you protect, nurture, and act upon relentlessly. Your time is your life, and your energy is the fuel of your destiny. Every person who drains, distracts, or diminishes you is stealing not just your moments, but your opportunities to shine. Every person who inspires, challenges, and uplifts you is contributing to the masterpiece of your life. Choose wisely. Invest wisely. Surround yourself intentionally. Act with courage. Live with focus. And never ever allow anyone's limitations to define what you are capable of achieving. The most powerful leaders, the most successful innovators, and the most fulfilled individuals all learn this truth. Clarity of vision and purity of focus require discipline in relationships. The people you allow to influence your thoughts, emotions, and energy must reflect the level of excellence you intend to embody. Do not settle for mediocrity in your inner circle while you aim for greatness in your life. Do not allow distractions to dilute your ambition. Do not tolerate energy theft when your purpose demands strength. Your destiny is not negotiable. Your vision is not optional. Your life is not a rehearsal. As you leave here today, carry this awareness with you. The right people will elevate you, challenge you, and inspire you to be the highest version of yourself. The wrong people will drain, distract, and derail you. The choice is yours. You are the gatekeeper of your energy, the curator of your associations, and the architect of your future. The courage to delete what hinders you and embrace what elevates you is the ultimate act of self-mastery. It is the declaration that your life, your purpose, and your potential are too valuable to be compromised. It is the commitment to walk boldly into your destiny, undeterred by fear, distraction, or negativity, and to live a life that reflects the greatness you were created to achieve.